Bhatia.
And we're about to meet with Youth Ottawa to teach us how to be more politically involved and take action. So, let's go. First of all, I wanted to say, this is my first time in Ottawa, and I was extremely excited to talk and speak with everybody here because, so far it's been an amazing trip. But I wanted to start with Youth Ottawa. What is Youth Ottawa? Pretty much in a nutshell, what is it?
Youth Ottawa is a youth empowerment organization. So when I explain it to people who ask, it's really, we do everything under the sun, from the Mayor's Youth Council to going to civics classrooms to teach our new curriculum, to media literacy. There's different kinds of programs for all youth of different backgrounds and ages. And I think that we're here for the betterment of Ottawa's youth.
How would you guys offer, advice to anyone who's at home watching and listening? What's something that they can do right now, right away, to take action, or just a first step kind of thing? Because it's overwhelming to make change. When you have such a big idea that you want to manifest in your head, it gets overwhelming and really discouraging. Where would you suggest someone to start?
If you go to somebody with an idea and you really think, this is good, and they don't support you, they say no, that doesn't mean you can't go to somebody else and say, this is what I'm thinking. You can go to more than one person. You can share your ideas with more than one person. And when it comes to thinking of new ideas, of things to do, how to make the world a better place, what I always ask myself is, I say, what makes me uncomfortable? What would make me more comfortable? What makes the people that I know more comfortable? And that's kind of a easier way to start off rather than going okay, how can I fix this?
Right.
Yeah. I would definitely say, first of all, voice your opinions more often, because it can be hard. But when you do it, you find like-minded people. So also find like-minded people. Ask questions. Make sure that you question, like you said, question yourself. Ask what makes you uncomfortable, what would make you more comfortable, things like that. And then maybe even do some Google searches. I got involved with the Ottawa Youth Engagement Committee because I just did a Google search. I was youth opportunities or something like that. Or I saw them on Instagram or something. But I did look into it a little bit, and it didn't take too long because these opportunities are usually really accessible because they want youth to join.
I specifically want to know what moment it was for you guys that kind of triggered that urge to make a change in your society and wanting to make a better place for yourself and for others.
I think I got involved with activism when I was around 11.
Oh, wow.
And I learned about injustices facing a lot of Indigenous communities, and I'm not Indigenous, but it wasn't just me. It was a lot of kids in the class were shocked that this was happening in Canada, the kids learning in 14-year-old portables, sitting right next to a 20-year-old diesel leak with fumes, and it's just seeing those conditions just on video even, and learning about this is in Ontario, this is in Canada, really spoke to us, and it's we have to do something here.
That's something I definitely commend you on, because you made that decision.
But do you, likewise, on the other side, do you find any difficulties with that? Yeah. Not being Indigenous?
I definitely find, I don't find any difficulties from the Indigenous community, but I find a lot of other white people ask, why are you doing this?
They might question your motives almost?
Yeah, or why do you care?
That doesn't concern you kind of
and
thing.
It's you know how does this not concern you?
Right, it's almost like that you need to flip the question on them, yeah.
It's important to be an ally. It's incredibly important, especially in, if you're supporting racialized youth or something like that, you need to be an ally. It's very important, but you can't overcome what the youth are saying, especially if they're living those experiences, and I don't think you do that, which is really great.
A few years after high school, when I was in university, I took part in a program called the Head Start for Young Women, an Ottawa program, and it was all about bringing more women into municipal politics, specifically in cities around Canada. And when I did that program, I was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge issue that we don't have more female representation in levels of government. And from there, a whole bunch of things just spawned out of that. So I'm one of the co-founders for the Chinese Canadian Collective in Ottawa. So we don't operate in a school, we don't operate in university, but we kind of provide that space for Chinese Canadians to talk about, issues relating to, background, their heritage, and really having events where we can sort of explore like the intersectionality. What does it mean to be Chinese and Canadian?
So I've been raised in a French-Canadian family, although I am Cree, Native First Nations. And in grade 3 or 4, we did a class on canoes, and my teacher brought up the fact that it was originated from First Nations people. And I was like, hey, I'm that. That's really cool, because I didn't know anything about it. And in this grade, for the rest of the day, I just got bullied for it. I was called a whole bunch of slurs, and I was just like, people need to know why it's bad, because if people know why it's bad, they know it's bad. And they can help people who've gone through the same thing.
Until about grade 10, I would say, I was very shy and, stuck to myself very much. And then I was struggling a lot with mental health. And that's one of the reasons I got involved with Sources of Strength, because I was just like, okay, no, I need to make a change. I need to raise more awareness about this, at least within my immediate community. And then once I did that, I did get involved with the GSA because I came out as gender fluid. And I was a little hesitant at first because I was still very like, oh my gosh. And I got involved from there, and I've definitely become much, much more confident and comfortable in my community.
I definitely relate to what you said about like getting involved in school, because I actually started an intersectional feminism club at my school 2 years ago. And it was really a hard start because there was a lot of misogyny and a lot of sexism, and that intersected obviously with homophobia and racism and everything like that. And people were talking to their teachers saying that they didn't feel safe, and so we decided to start this club. It was really hard though, like I said. We started talking to a really important figure in the school. She's like a very close teacher to a lot of people, and she had to fight very hard for us to start the club. But that was 2 years ago, and now we have like a really nice base in the school. It's like a safe space for people to come, talk about feminism, talk about gender equality, intersectionality, things like that. But yeah, it was hard, but it was definitely worth it.
Well, for me, I came to Canada as a refugee from Iraq, and we were kind of launched into this new country, colder than we expected. But we grew up in low income, and I grew up in a family where you had to be supported by your community. If you didn't wake up in the morning and go to your school's breakfast program, you're going to be hungry that day. If you didn't wake up and line outside that community center to get your affordable snowsuit, it's going to be a cold winter. So we really had to learn to come together as a community and help each other out. But growing up as low income, you feel like you're always an outsider in your school because not everyone is the same, socioeconomic level as you. But I grew up to a point where I was, able to gain my confidence, my self-confidence, and I started the Cuts for Kids Foundation, a charity, and we give free haircuts to underprivileged youth. So that was my way of giving back to my community that's given me so much.
It's safe to say that the trend with all of us is that we saw something that was unjust, we saw something that needed to be changed, and we took it upon ourselves to make that change a reality. My thing is that I wanted to ask you guys is longevity. Having that there and keeping it and keeping it going in a certain level.
Well, what I've learned really works with people is continuous action and continuous satisfaction. And what that means to me is that when you start something, you need to make sure it's finished. But if we're planning something that's going to happen in 4 months, we need something that we plan at the same time that's going to happen in a week, and in 2 weeks, and in 3 weeks. And if there's always something on the move, if there's always something happening, people keep hearing what it is, people keep seeing the effects and the changes. You can't plan one thing and nothing in between and nothing after. It has to all happen continuously. It has to be like a river.
And you have to make sure you listen to your members.
Yeah.
Because you have to make sure they're interested, right? Everybody's there for a common interest, but if you don't hear what they have to say, then they're not going to come. You have to make sure that they have to feel included, because that's what that's what the club and everything is all about.
Yeah, and learning from each other as well, and then being able to package all the things that you've learned from all the things that you're doing in the club and from each other, and then making sure that you're teaching that onto future members as well, people who may take leadership on those groups later on.
So in your guys' opinion, do you feel like the youth is well represented in politics? If not, how do you think we can get people who want to be involved but are maybe intimidated to kind of get the ball rolling for them, or try to like show them that this is something tangible, this is something that you can do?
Well, to start off with, personally, and I know a lot of people don't feel as though a youth voice is represented in a lot of political decisions that happen. But one of the things that really helped me get involved was seeing other youth up there. And it does happen. It's just, there's so little information and so little advertisement that youth are, there's councils for different politicians in different positions that are youth councils. And when those become well known, it seems less daunting.
It's not about one conversation, it's about a continued dialogue. And I definitely think that's something that the government, all levels of government, could be doing a lot better. And I think youth can be afraid to get involved because it's daunting, you know, it's big. And I think part of it is like, you could even start by just writing your MP about something like that. That's your member of parliament, and they are supposed to represent you. So if it's something that you really care about, you could start there, or you could go and talk to a group in your community or something.
I think too, oh.
No, maybe you
I want to hear it all.
I think too that, you know, especially when adults talk about youth involvement in politics, they kind of like to separate youth issues and then the real issues,
Right.
but not realizing
As if
that.
that we can't cover all issues.
Exactly, and that I think that there's no difference between a youth issue and a real issue, because we're all affected by education, we're all affected by you know, economic levels and our opportunities, we're all affected by employment, this and that. So these are all, we share the same issues, we share the same.
So then how do we break that border?
Like, a lot of it is for, I think, the young leaders and the youth leaders in the community to take the onus on themselves and be posting on social media and be telling their friends about all the things that they're doing. Just like what people have mentioned before, it can be daunting when it seems like there's no one doing it, but when you see other youth doing that and really out there and going, you're like, oh my gosh, that is a possibility for me, and that is something that I could be doing. But also, it does mean taking leadership, and I think one of the, like, it's like taking baby steps, and one of the small sort of baby steppy things that you can do is maybe using something like social media, which everyone already uses, but following like your MP or your councillor or your MPP on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, and then keeping watch for the things that they're saying. Is that a topic that interests me? Is that something that I can talk to them about or write to them about? Or is that, like, are they calling for people because they want more comments? Like, are they starting youth council? And that's where you can start putting your voice in as well.
Interesting. And well, in closing, I'm wondering, what can I do? You know what I mean? Like, if I'm talking to you guys, what can I do to help make a difference?
For me, the immediate thing that comes to mind is complain. Be loud. If there's a problem, complain about it and try to think, okay, this I think is a problem. How can I change that? Who can I talk to help make that change happen? Just be loud about it. And if you're not comfortable being loud about it, talk to other people that you are comfortable with and try to make that gradually like a bigger issue that more people are aware of.
Yeah, like I said earlier, I said like you have to voice your opinions, find like-minded people, ask questions, and persevere. Like, it's really hard, but you can do it. That's what I would say.
Personally, from my experience, I think the biggest thing is to ask questions, like you said, but equally of yourself and of other people, and then push through it, because it's going to be really hard. Like, that is a fact. There is nothing that is going to negate that in the near future, but it's when you get over that hill and when you start seeing progress that it makes it all worth it, because you're affecting your life and so many other people's lives, and as daunting as that sounds, it isn't that hard if you just push through that beginning mess of ignorance.
Well, I got to thank every one of you for joining us today for this.
Thanks,
You know,
guys,
it's
so
been an
much.
experience and a half. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Pizza. Yeah.